This first super session, we have the renowned experts and our dignitaries who will delve into the opportunities towards sustainable manufacturing and share their vision for developing India as a biomanufacturing hub to become a global leader. I would now request our dignitaries to please come on the dais. Dr. Jitendra Kumar, Managing Director, BIREC. Sir, please, I welcome you to please come on the dais. Dr. Alka Sharma, Scientist H and Senior Advisor, DBT. Ma'am, please. Dr. Rajesh S. Gokhale, Secretary, DBT, DG Break and Chairman, BIREC. Sir, please, may I request you to please come on the dais. Very welcome address. Welcome address on this. I would now request Managing Director BIREC, Dr. Jitendra Kumar, to kindly give a welcome address to the audience. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody here. I think so far we had very good sessions, and of course I think you have enjoyed lunch now. So this session is after lunch, and we have made sure that this is going to be very interesting session. And it talks about driving the bioeconomy to become a global leader. As we know, the bioeconomy of a country represents its future actually, because it's futuristic. It talks about the net zero, it talks about sustainability, ecological sustainability, efficiency, and therefore countries who have put emphasis on these aspects have become more and more, they have become the leader in their own field. India has started, our country has started this biomanufacturing mission in a mission mode with the BioE3 policy launch. And I think this is going to address the economy, the employability, and the ecological aspects of it, environmental aspects of it. So because we are already late, I will not take much time, and I thank you all for coming here. Let's have this session going. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Dr. Alka Sharma, Scientist H and Senior Advisor DBT, to enlighten the August gathering with the highlights of BioE3 policy. Ma'am, please.
Namaskar, good afternoon. Dignitaries on the dais, Dr. Rajesh S. Gokhale, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Director General BRIC and Chairman BIREC, MD BIREC, Dr. Jitendra Kumar, and all the dignitaries of the dais, students, innovators, startups, researchers. It's my pleasure to be here today with all of you for the Super Session 1 on a very interesting topic, biomanufacturing, driving the bioeconomy to become a global leader. As you all know that the objective of this Super Session is to deliberate upon the challenges and opportunities towards sustainable manufacturing and developing India as biomanufacturing hub to become a global leader. India has demonstrated strong economic growth in the past decade and has tremendous potential to be amongst the global leaders of the fourth industrial revolution. In the inaugural session, you have all seen that what the overview of the bioeconomy and that we heard from the speakers and the leaders. So over the past few years, the global biotechnology industry has grown more than 5%. Indian biotechnology sector has evolved rapidly and made significant contribution to various fields, including biopharma, agriculture, environment, and bioinformatics. India contributes 3% of market share in the global biotechnology industry, and India ranked 12 in the world in biotech and third in Asia Pacific, and we are the largest vaccine manufacturer. And India, we have the third largest startup ecosystem. Currently, there are more than 8,500 biotech startups in the country. So, as our Honorable Minister also said, that our bioeconomy has grown 13-fold from 10 billion in 2014 to over now in 151 billion in 2024. So that data is up to 2023. So it is further expected to reach 300 billion bioeconomy by 2030. So the target is very close to us and we will be able to achieve that. There is a huge jump in the rank of our country in Global Innovation Index from 81 in 2015 to 40 in 2023. So the message is very clear that the government has made lot of efforts on laying strategy, creating ecosystem to facilitate end-to-end processes, developing critical mass of desired skills, and also addressing regulatory issues from time to time. So biomanufacturing and biofoundry scheme has been announced in the interim budget speech for the financial year 2024-25, and this is aligned with the national initiatives of our government. This includes the emphasis on green growth in Union Budget 23-24. Honorable Prime Minister's vision to make India a net zero carbon economy and life for the environment, that is life, launched by the Honorable Prime Minister in October 2022. This will also enable dual goals of Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India. So very recently, on 24th August this year, the government has approved Bio-E3 policy, that is biotechnology for economy, environment and employment, keeping in view the national priority of steering India on the path of accelerated green growth. You all have heard about this policy and in the inaugural session and after that CEO roundtable conference also. So this is a very positive and decisive steps towards sustainable growth in the challenging backdrop of climate change, depleting non-renewable resources and unsustainable waste generation. So major aim of this policy is to stimulate the transition of chemical-based industries to more sustainable bio-based industrial models. It will also promote a circular bioeconomy and provide an impetus to achieve net zero carbon emissions by encouraging the utilization of waste to produce bio-based products. So it has a power to unlock the potential of microbes, plants and animal cells to develop bio-based products cost effectively with a minimal carbon footprint. So startups and industries have to play a very pivotal role in this process by bringing and developing novel ideas. So this also provides framework and the intent of the government to foster high-performance biomanufacturing and integrated approach towards promoting circular economy for green, clean and prosperous India. And this will also provide a strategic framework for harnessing the potential of the bioeconomy while safeguarding the environment and creating meaningful employment for the opportunities for the innovators, startups and younger generation. Dr. Rajesh S. Gokhale, the chief guest of this super session, will be releasing a brochure of Bio-E3 policy during the session and will also address the gathering with his vision on this futuristic Bio-E3 policy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. May I we have a short video on the Bio 3 policy. May we please play the video?
In the past decade, Bharat has emerged as a powerhouse of economic growth under the able leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, showcasing its resilience and potential on the global stage. Now, as we stand at the threshold of a new era, there's a transformative opportunity on the horizon. Biomanufacturing. Biomanufacturing holds the key to unlocking the regenerative and sustainable potential of biological systems, paving the way for the national priority of accelerated green growth.
भारत को ग्लोबल ग्रीन एनर्जी मार्केट में एक लीड प्लेयर के रूप में स्थापित करने में भी अहम भूमिका निभाएगा।
To steer Bharat towards this vision, the Union Cabinet approved an integrated Bio-E3 policy, Biotechnology for economy, environment and employment. Bio-E3 policy was formulated after a series of dedicated sectorial meetings with multiple stakeholders across the country. The Bio-E3 policy will bring together scientific and technological advancements to enable circular bioeconomy, facilitate scale-up of bio-based products, streamline policies and regulations to expand their market opportunities. The policy envisions to establish a robust framework for sustainable growth by intensifying entrepreneurship, public-private co-creation model, and setting up of the Molankur Bioenablers hubs. The policy harnesses the potential of biotech engineering and digitalization to spark innovation, nurture skilled workforce, and boost employment. With an estimated $2 to $4 trillion of direct annual global economic impact, the Bio-E3 policy represents a monumental shift towards efficient tailored production process and sustainable solutions for Viksit Bharat. Join us in shaping a greener, more prosperous future. Together, let's harness the power of biomanufacturing to build a sustainable tomorrow for Bharat.
Thank you. Thank you all. I would now request our distinguished speakers of the super session to please come on this dais. Ms. Tina Sayesgo-Pano, Executive Vice President, Planetary Health Biosolutions, Denmark. Dr. Ajay Kumar Parail, Founder and CEO, Manus. Please welcome. Thank you. Professor Murali, Chairman, Genome Group of Companies. Dr. Pramod Kumbar, President and Chief Technology Officer, Praj Industries. Dr. Srihar Sambe, CEO and Managing Director, Biocon Biologics. Dr. Sanjay Singh, CEO, Genova Pharmaceuticals. Mr. Lakshminarayan Neti, COO, Biological E. Mr. Rajesh Krishnamurthy, Laurus Bio. Welcome you all for this super session. Thank you. I would now request our Secretary, Dr. Rajesh S. Gokhale, Secretary DBT, DG BRIC, and Chairman BIREC, to address us with his vision on Bio-E3 policy and biomanufacturing road ahead. Sir, please, your address. Can we have the presentation? I also request we will have Sir's address after the release of the policy brochure. I would now request the BRIC directors also please join on the dais for the release of Bio E3 policy brochure. I request Dr. Vaishali Punjabi, scientist F DBT, to join on the dais for the release of the brochure. Dr. Sanjay Mishra, scientist H DBT, also to be on the dais, please. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. I would request the panelists for the session to please stay back on the dais. Thank you. Thank you to all the BRIC directors and the DBT staff, DBT officers for joining. Thank you. I now request Secretary Sir to address us. Thank you.
Namaskar and good afternoon to all of you. Thank you very much for being over here. I thought now that government has released this BioE3 policy, I wanted to put together a vision that Department of Biotechnology has envisaged for the country. And primarily this is very important in this audience because it's really the aspirations and the innovations that we want to drive together so that one can really synthesize a story for this country as a Viksit Bharat. And therefore I've tried to put together some thoughts and ideas which is somewhat provocative, challenging, and also important to understand where are the how and where we want to look into the future of biomanufacturing sector. Incidentally, most of the biomanufacturing or related activities in the sector has been in the health sector for over the years actually. So I'm going to skip a little bit of that, but going to talk to you about more of other aspects of life which is getting integrated into the biotech ecosystem. So what is the Viksit Bharat conundrum across the world? Why many countries are not able to, reach what you call a Viksit Bharat target? Now the Viksit Bharat target in a simplistic way can be defined by the GDP of the country. Now this graph shows put together about several countries together that have been able to cross various milestones. If you look at from the left to right, there's the low income to the high income brackets, and there are brackets that becoming rich and staying rich. You can see several countries, in fact, over the years, have not been, even though they have been fast growing economies, cannot break into this bracket of rich nations, primarily because there are several challenges that happen with them. And the World Bank's data, in fact, suggests that out of 101 middle income countries, only 13 have become high rich countries over the years of time. And that's what every other nation, including India, is trying to look at Viksit Bharat. Now, how do we really think that we can escape this kind of trajectories map actually? So one of the aspects that we think is that technologically empowered India can escape this trap. That's a very important perspective. And the second one is that the trajectories that one need to leapfrog from one quadrant to another. So for example, low income country to a middle income trap, or from a middle income to a high income country, you need to have a different trajectories of events to occur. And I'll try and talk to you about some of these events that are possibly predictable. Some of these are non-predictable, but how do we design a future country's growth potential by understanding this ecosystem? So this is the BioE3 policy, as you have just heard about it actually, and it basically gives a framework and direction for future scientific, industrial and societal achievements and advancements. It's a commitment to foster an advanced future which is more sustainable, innovative and responsive to global challenges. Wants Bharat to be the global leaders in the next industrial revolution and the potential to create jobs and intensify entrepreneurial momentum, which is what is very critical for a country like this. So how do we perceive the innovation strategy? I think this graph gives you a perspective about how various industrial revolutions over the centuries have played the major game to be able to look at how we should develop our own perspective. You can see in the last part of the graph, I put together a futuristic perspective, which is industrialization of biology, which is likely to be the next 25 years game changer as we believe of how this progress will occur. If you really look at from the first revolution, which started around 1750s and 1780s in UK and France, to the age that we have seen growth, and for example, the last one of its kind, which is about 25 years back, is an information and communication technology, which we have all seen in our own lives. You can see how things have changed. It's not only lives have changed, the economies have changed, and the countries that have adapted to these evolution technologies early on have gone ahead to make a GDPs that are very high perspective. The question is, when we say that the bio-revolution is coming, can we really make it happen in the country from a perspective such that we climb the growth phase as an exponential part of an activity? So what will change? If you really look at how IT industry has evolved into kind of change every aspect of life, biology will build the next technology revolution and everything will be impacted by new biology. Whether it is food, water, energy, environment, plants, humans, every aspect of life, due to the rapid advancement of artificial technology and intelligence and biotech and other exponential technology, is going to reshape the world faster than we can actually ever think before it. And that's exactly as I said, it is just the way the IT industry has remodeled everything into the life. So what are the drivers of this change? Because you need some drivers for you to make things happen. And there are these three perspective global challenges that requires concerted sustainable intervention. One is the climate change. The second one is unsustainable material consumption. And the third one is waste generation actually. If all of these needs to be balanced, you need to make sure that the perspective of biology, which has some bit of inbuilt in situ resource management, can be utilized in a futuristic way. So the biomanufacturing, we believe, will empower us to reimagine the future of agri-food industry, energy and chemical industry, health industry, and climate aspect. And I thought I will give you a couple of few thought processes of how futuristic bioeconomy goals will shape tomorrow's world. Now, the first of foremost of all is obviously the energy transition. Now, if you look at refinery now, oil refinery, this is an example of an oil refinery in India. About 86% of crude oil is imported in the country, and it's feeded into an oil refinery which converts into an output, which is petrol, diesel, jet fuel, and others actually. If we continue to grow in this manner, obviously the fossil fuel is going to be a bit of challenge. Can we transit to a completely new mode of energy transitions, which is listed over here actually? For example, can we, instead of oil, use plastic waste, biomass waste, and the carbon dioxide sequestration as an input to the transition of energy that we talk about actually? And I think it's important to perceive this, because then only one can create innovations and technologies around this perspective. If you really look at, it's expected that the energy transition will be connected with the with the EV technology, with the green hydrogen technologies and several other technologies that will do the energy transition. And therefore, transportation sector in next 25 years to come will almost completely shift from petrol toward these other resources of management. And therefore, you can see even in the output slide, I put either diesel or a jet fuel or polymers and chemicals as a major sectors. In fact, some of you are interested in reading this technical literature. It's very nicely, interestingly captured in this Nature review article that I've listed over here. And I think this is where, if we can position ourselves properly, we can in fact transit onto this aspect of life. The reason why this is feasible is because if you look at the carbon atom economy, about 450 million tons of carbonaceous resource waste as an agro waste, municipal solid waste and municipal solid from all sorts of can be collated and can be put to as an input, therefore changing completely the ecosystem of the carbon atom economy actually. And that will be one of the foremost and the most important transition. If we make this happen, many other things will happen along with this. Very closely connected with this, as I've been talking about, is the chemical life. And the chemical industry in India produces about 60,000 to 70,000 molecules of variety of kinds. And I've listed all the chemical industry here. It's agri-poultry chemicals, dyes and pigments, food and feed additives, pharmaceutical, construction chemicals, water treatment chemicals, home care ingredients, polymer and bioplastic, perfumery and flavors, fertilizers, and so on and so forth. The intermediates of all these, in fact, come from the petrochemical industry, which I have listed here as well, whether it's alcohols, diols, organic acid, propylene, dienes, aromatics, or sugars. Now the question is, can we use biomass for the perspective to doing these activities, whether it's agri-crop, agri-waste, landfill, municipal waste, or can we develop other kind of processes that can convert this directly into these chemicals that are of useful analysis? Obviously, the challenge is to develop technology, bring the economies of scale, and bring profitable market. And one has to design how this transition of circular economy will occur from a non-renewable petrochemical feedstock to a biomass-derived feedstock in future to come. The next example is a classical example of agro-industries actually. Now this is an example of castor oil which I wanted to put to your attention. India actually produces 85% of the castor oil in the country actually, and exports to all the countries which are major buyer importer of this, for example, US, France, China, South Korea. Now if you really look at this industry is likely to undergo a change, because castor oil related productions can in fact be now done in a biomanufacturing perspective using microbial systems. Now this will, what it will do to is actually create farmer stress, and therefore you will have to go back and do the subsidies for farmers in 5 years time when the biomanufacturing facilities will proceed. So in many ways, you keep going back to the facilities and infrastructures that you are using it now to subsidize several activities. And how do you make these things happen in timelines such that we do not have to face these kind of what I call middle level challenges actually. The next example is of milk actually, and the food industry again is going to amazingly change. If you look at again, milk is about 25% of the milk is produced in India, one of the largest producer of the world. However, if you look at total production versus the human population, per capita availability is about 500 grams per day. Now, if the population is going to increase, you have to increase the production of the milk. Now, how do you increase the production of the milk? You have to increase the production of the cattle count. Now, if you really look at the cattle count numbers in India right now, this is the livestock count of India. About 300 million buffaloes, cattle, bovines, mithun, yaks are there. 75 millions of sheep, 148 millions of goat, 9 millions of pigs, and for poultry, about 850 millions of poultry. Now, how can you really enhance this to the next level if one wants to take this as a different perspective? So clearly, the biomanufacturing industry has to come and play a very, very important role in this, of how to be able to trigger these challenges and be able to make this as a model of precision biotherapeutics. Obviously, there are other interesting challenges as well. Can we start capturing carbon dioxide and converting in hours into food, such that there are integrated chemical and biological platforms on demand production can be produced, which are nutritious. These can be important for humanitarian crisis, disasters, relief efforts, and space explorations kind of activities. Many of these are on the horizons and are likely to become a very, very big game player and game changers in the perspective to come. I think for this, therefore, the strategic roadmap, we have identified 6 sectorial segments. It is bio-based chemicals and enzymes, functional foods and smart proteins, precision biotherapeutics, sustainable agriculture, carbon capture technologies, and future marine and space research. And to make this happen, we want to have set up biomanufacturing hubs, biomolecular enablers, bio-AI hubs, and various other mechanisms that will catalyze these activities. And of course, the important is public-private partnership and industry collaborations into this. So the strategy of implementation, as you would hear, Alka was mentioning about it, we're going to do this in 3 different brackets: discovery and integrated research network, bridging the gaps, and setting up of Mulankur bioenabler hubs across all these sectorial growths. And this probably gives you a perspective of how things are likely to change in near perspective of time, and therefore we wanted to put it together. So the salient features of BioE3 policy, I think I'll just repeat it very, very quickly. Innovation-driven encouragement to support an R&D entrepreneurship, accelerate technology development, commercialization by establishing Mulankur bioenablers, prioritize regenerative bioeconomical models of green growth, and harmonize regulatory reforms and global standards. So therefore, what I'm trying to envisage is that the biovision for the Viksit Bharat is likely to be one of the key players of how next 25 years of vision of our country will be dictated and will finalize into this fantastic activity. I think I'll stop here, but let other gentlemen who are all here, done wonderful things in their lives, give us some bright ideas and fantastic thought processes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your vision, the opportunities that our country has, and the strategic roadmap towards biomanufacturing and towards Viksit Bharat. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Welcome, ma'am. So we now proceed to our super session, which is a session, the first super session of Global Bio India, where we have the renowned experts in this field who will delve into the challenges and opportunities towards sustainable manufacturing and share their vision for developing India as biomanufacturing hub to become a global leader. So to introduce our session panelists, we have Tina Sayesgo-Panu. She is the Executive Vice President, Planetary Health Biosolutions, Novo Nordisk, Denmark. She has a track record of delivering growth and has been instrumental in Novozymes' transformation of the bioenergy business. Besides being an inclusive people leader, she brings strategic acumen and cross-industry background to the executive leadership team of Novo Nordisk. She has held positions in applied research, production, marketing, and business development. We have Dr. Ajay Kumar Parail from Manas, founder and CEO from Manas. He is an entrepreneur with experience in technological innovation and commercialization. He is the founder and CEO of Manas. He has invented Manas Bio's core technology platform at MIT and launched Manas in 2011 and has led successful commercialization of multiple products made through precision fermentation. He has pioneered several methods for engineering chemistry using biology to manufacture complex natural chemicals. We welcome you. We have Professor P.M. Murli, who is also the moderator of the session. Dr. Murli's focus is on live biotherapeutics in the cutting-edge synthetic biology and pharmaceutical space and nutrition products that favors good gut and metabolic health. He is the Honorary President of Council of Presidents for ABLE, which is the face of Indian biotech industry, and currently serves on its executive committee. We have Dr. Pramod Kumbar, who is from Praj Industries, President and Chief Technology Officer. He is working with Praj for the last 12 years. He has focused on driving innovation in biotechnology to produce biofuels and biochemicals. He is the part of the Royal Club of 500 leaders globally in Bioeconomy list in 2022 and 2023 by the Biofuel Digest. We have Dr. Shrihas Tambe. He is CEO and Managing Director, Biocon Biologics. He has held several leadership positions over the last 25 years at the Biocon Group, starting his R&D career from Biocon before heading up to operations and later as the head of capital investments for the Biocon Group. We have with us Dr. Sanjay Singh, CEO, Genova Biopharmaceuticals Limited. He focused on innovations in biomanufacturing technologies that culminated in the commercialization of 7 life-saving biotherapeutics in cardiovascular, neurology, nephrology, and oncology markets. Dr. Singh has led Genova to develop India's first mRNA-based vaccine, which got the emergency use authorization. Then we have Mr. Lakshminarayan Neti. He is the Chief Operating Officer, Biological E. He is a seasoned professional in the Indian pharmaceutical industry with over 30 years of illustrious experience. And he has put in efforts to make Biological E the largest manufacturer in the world with an unwavering focus towards providing vaccine access to developing countries. He has worked for Abbott also prior to that. We also have Mr. Rajesh Krishnamurthy from Laurus Bio. He has more than 28 years of experience in technology and business across multiple domains, including IT, marketing, both in India and US. And his role include international business development and strategy. And back to India currently is CEO at Laurus Bio. So I welcome you all, and I would now request our session moderator, Dr. Professor Murali, to kindly please take over.
Very good afternoon to all of you. There is a bit of change we have done to the program, considering the time that is at our disposal. So there was a fireside chat, and then there is a panel discussion. So one of my panel members, Sanjay, who is a good friend of mine, will be very, very happy that he's been upgraded to a fireside chat now. And not just a panel discussion. So we are all now part of the fireside chat. But I'm going to start with the two fireside chat panelists, Tina and Aji. And before I do that, I think there are a lot of students here. So I just want to set the context so that the secretary gave you a snapshot, an overview, and the guidance and what the future is. So for the students' point of view, please remember, if at all there can be any better time in your life to study biology and biotechnology, this is the time. Because you can see that if this Bio E3 policy has to come up to the logical levels, each one of you will be employed gainfully, and also you will have a situation where there will be many more who will be given jobs or who will be having jobs, particularly from the industry side and from the other side. So all the people here should unanimously thank Rajesh Gokhleji for this wonderful policy which has got a fantastic future here. From the industry point of view also, I want to make a very simple suggestion here. I have been seeing biotech department, and I'm sure quite a lot of the people here would be seeing biotechnology department for a long time. And there has been a lot of progress that has been going on. But I think this is the first time we have stopped to actually make a policy, give a wing to the policy, and then try to tell the whole nation that there is a policy, and this is concerning the biotechnology department. Now, I will tell you the reason why it is so important. All the time we have been fighting nature. So most of the industrialization that we have been doing in India, or for that matter anywhere else, either petrochemical, or we were polluting, or we were creating climate change. So there has been something or the other that has been going on. So here is the first time a department has responsibly come out with a map of saying that India will grow, India's economy will grow, but it will use a lot of the living systems which are not fighting with each other or causing grievous problems to the environment. So from the industry point of view, we now have a very responsible guideline on how we can grow. So again, I would like to thank Rajesh Gokhleji for this effort there. So this is the context with which we are now beginning this discussion. So for the students, we are having two people here. One is Tina, who is on my left side, and then we have Aji on the right side here. So why are they up on the stage here is that Tina has done a lot of things in Denmark. Denmark is one of the capital for biomanufacturing. Lot of the biomanufacturing has come from that place. So what we are going to learn from Tina today is we are going to ask her a few questions on what she thinks are the global practices that has been followed in Denmark that she would think are some of the path-breaking things that they did that India can quickly adapt to the current situation. So Tina, that will be my first question. What did you do right to be a biomanufacturing hub? What should we learn from you?
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, a lot is happening on the global scheme, I have to say. And the bioeconomy is being embraced globally. However, there is still a lot to do. But let me try and highlight both from Denmark, and that's where I'll start, and then also from Europe, what it is that is happening on the global scale. So in Denmark, it has been a lot about collaborations, and not only collaborations within the sector, but also between the sector and the government. So as an example, the Danish government has put in place 13 government initiative partnerships, all with the focus on, you could say, working or reducing climate change. And I myself is heading the climate partnership for life science and biotech. So that's a lot about collaborations. Also, the industry has got together and formed an alliance for biosolutions, a bit like the event we are at here, in order to secure that the industry speaks with one voice and thereby get the, you could say, can improve the conditions for the industry as such. The government has also been working on funding R&D because we need to have the full chain from lab to full scale. So they, for example, have done research and innovation funds for biosolutions for the next 3 years. Also, they have developed what is called a lighthouse project, which is a pilot scale facility for startups to use so that we can get the startups up. And it is also expected that biosolutions will be one of the main themes in Denmark for the EU Council, where the chairmanship is getting to Denmark. Because that is also going to enable regulatory sandboxes, which is something which we both utilize in Denmark as well as the EU, in order to secure that there is an eased regulatory framework for solutions to come to market. So that's some of the things which have happened in Denmark. If I look at EU, it is a lot again about funding, and then it's a lot about securing that there's a strong regulatory framework in order to secure that the solutions get implemented out into the world. So, for example, the funding comes from a European Fund for Competitiveness, where the aim is to invest in strategic technologies, a bit like what we just heard you also doing here in India. But then also in terms of the more regulatory framework, there are the EU Net Zero Industry Act, where biotechnology is identified as one of the critical technologies, and that is to be implemented. Then we also, in Europe, like here in India, have blending mandates, not as ambitious as it is in India, I have to say, but it's the same kind of regulatory mechanisms. And then last but not least, there's also work ongoing with biopesticides, biofertilizers, in order to secure fast-track approvals in order to support agriculture. So all of that is some of the elements which there are. And last but not least, EU is about to form a Biotech Act, which exactly is focusing on biotech and manufacturing in order to take it forward. So a lot is ongoing, and I think a lot of the things we have talked about today and here with the BioE3 are very strong elements which we are also seeing in other parts of the world.
So I have a very selfish question. So what is Novo Nordisk going to be in India? Are you going to employ more people? And I know very well that you are not doing too much of research out of India, which is my grievance, personal grievance. So is there any way you're going to bring in more of those into India? So these are the two questions for you.
Yeah, so what I can say is that we have been in India since more than 40 years. More than 10% of the Novo Nordisk workforce is in India, and that's a testimony to the importance of India in the biotech landscape. And then we also will remain to be here. Already today, we work from R&D, from applied R&D, and the whole way up in, we work with the startups. We are looking into the opportunities to support scale up and startups. And then we also have our own production footprint, which is operating here in India. And as the opportunities arise, we are looking at engaging further in India, because we believe that India is a very important manufacturing hub.
Thank you. That's the most important thing. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we move on to the next panelist, who's Ajay. So why is Ajay on the stage here? So the most important reason why he's on the stage is he has done something that it's not so easy to do. And what is that? When you do research in the lab, you may make a prototype, you may get into a strain that will make certain milligrams or micrograms of a particular molecule that you are looking at. So that gives you a paper, a publication, a patent, and that's where your life actually starts. So Ajay has grown up from being a boy to a man in the world of industrial biotechnology by moving from the lab to manufacturing in a huge fermenter. This transition is for the real brave people. It is not easy. You must have heard several speakers talking about it, especially the way you are going to have a pilot facility to go to the next stage. And that is exactly what the Secretary is also building in India, where the gap between the lab and the commercialization is bridged. And that is one of the key ingredients of the BioE3 policy. So Ajay has done that. So my question to Ajay is, first of all, as an entrepreneur, I guess you should have your body, mind, and your gut with spleen, everything with steel. So how did you make that journey happen? And did you realize that you will be one of the sought after manufacturer in America from a beginning in Kerala, which does not still have any of those facilities?
Thank you, Murali. Good afternoon, everyone. First, congratulations to Rajesh and DBT, coming with the right time with the right policy. So, BioE3 policy, this is the right time to launch it and execute it. There are two reasons. Last decade, enormous amount of innovation happened in the sector of biotechnology, particularly with the synthetic biology and enabling the creation of microbes which can make products or cell systems. So that knowledge now, this decade, we need to translate into products which we use in our life. It's going to touch biology, is going to touch every aspect of human life. So India is on right time, in the right track. My story starts with doing research at MIT. I was kind of a first generation of scientist, entered into the field in a chemical engineering department, doing engineering biology right after finishing the Human Genome Project. There was no gene synthesis company exist, so I had to, in a way, start synthesizing gene to developing a lot of method of engineering, then publishing that research. At the end of that, I thought, what is next? I could go get a professor job, or I should take an industry route. I was lucky in right place, right time, and seeing emergence of biotechnology companies. Every year MIT start 35 companies, something like that. So I spent a lot of time with the business school and start learning about entrepreneurship. That translated into the founding of Manus Bio in 2011. So after founding, first thing, we did a landscape study because we are coming out of the biofuel era, spending billions of dollars and collapsing that industry. So we know that biofuel is not reality in near future because technology was not ready, but investors were ready to put money. That's happened with the biofuel that time in early 2000s. So we come up with really looking through the strategically thinking about it. When a new technology emerges, a transformative technology emerges, where it should be focus on developing products, because fermentation technology is not new. Cloning a gene to make a recombinant DNA is not, recombinant DNA production is not new. But engineering cell or programming cell as a cell factory is the new technology. That is the significant. It is combined with the emergence of synthetic biology and automation and digitalization of biology and data science. So at that point, we look into the industry. We focused on high value ingredients like food ingredients, flavor ingredients, specialty chemicals. That led us to founding Manus with a vision of creating bioalternatives. Bioalternatives are the chemicals which we use in our daily life or molecules which we use in our daily life, which can be produced by more sustainable, more renewable, and more economical way through biotechnology. So right after 5 years, once you go through that technology, basically invention happened in a research lab, then went into the innovation, creating, transferring technology to products. Then what is next? Where do you manufacture? If you don't manufacture, you don't have a product. So that thought process led us to go behind manufacturing. Normally, these technology companies stay away from manufacturing and trying to outsource the manufacturing. But we decided, pre-COVID time in the United States, people are not so much fond about manufacturing, but we were quite brave to go acquire a facility, which is a 1.3 million liter fermentation facility, and start rebuilding the factory to make the product, start making the product. So far, we commercialized it for products. There are a lot of intricacies in scaling these technologies. The biggest challenge is we thought a decade ago making microbe engineering, programming cell as a cell factory is the challenge. But way beyond complexity to make a product at scale and bringing into the market. So in this space, there are 3 phases there. One is the technology phase. We're creating microbe, testing in a lab scale, and demonstrating it. The second is the commercialization scale period. The commercial period is around piloting that product and testing the market and market feasibility. The last piece is the most critical timeline, which is the market adopting. So market adoption needs way more strategy thinking and the policies, and right regulatory policies around, because when you launch a product, you need to get regulatory approvals globally. It's not just one country. There are a lot more intricacies to get through. So I can talk all day about it, what that life story.
Thank you, Ajay. So I'm going to stay with the industrial part of it. And then there are 2 gentlemen who are here and here who actually saved our lives during COVID. But now that we are alive, we will like to forget that and give them the last chance to speak. So I will now go to Rajesh here. So he is going to continue from where Ajay has left. And for people who are looking for jobs, including me, Rajesh is the best bet. We can send our CVs to him because he's hiring a lot of people. So there he is. So the question that I want to ask you, Rajesh, is that there isn't much of a pipeline that's in India that you can actually take off from where you are, but you are building facilities for your plants. So what are your plans? How do you propose to go about that and fill both the gaps? Is it that you're going to source a lot of those things from abroad? Or are you going to encourage Indian companies? Or are you going to do it yourself? So what are your plans to become the manufacturing hub?
Yeah, thank you, Murali. To simply answer your question, all the three.
Okay.
So basically, what we are seeing in the market is, as Ajit was talking about, basically biomanufacturing is nothing but using the cell as a factory to produce products. And the biggest challenge currently today, I think Ajit will probably agree with me, is the cells themselves are not very, not still robust enough to produce products that we would love to produce. From milk to replace cows, eggs to replace chickens, some of these commoditized products. Because we are kind of pampering them too much today. We are giving them sugar. We are giving them oxygen. We are giving them all the spa-like environment and begging them to make some protein or some product. What we need is microbes that can work in Bangalore traffic, who are robust enough to produce products that we would love to. So currently, we are building our third manufacturing facility in Karnataka, which will be a 2 million liter facility in 3 phases. And when we see the market, we do have global companies coming to us. Currently, 100% is global. Out of about 40 companies we work today, 100% is outside.
When is your facility getting completed?
The phase 1 of the third facility is coming up in 2026. And then the next 4 years, we are going to complete the next 2 phases to complete the 2 million liter. Slowly, what we are seeing is a lot of Indian companies, the US and Europe companies are coming to us for 2 reasons. One is we have the skill. As I said in the other CEO session, it's not just the steel on the ground. It's because that we can help them scale that requires a lot of process engineering expertise. But they're also coming to us because some of their products are going into India and Asia.
Correct.
So India can become a hub, because you don't want to manufacture in India and send it to US. That kind of beats the whole purpose of taking these products in and out. So simply to answer your question, all the 3. Yeah.
Thank you. So now we move on to Pramod, who is there. Aji drives Mercedes-Benz or an Audi, whereas poor Pramod does not have that luxury. So what I mean by that is, he said high value molecules. If you remember in his talk, he said he chases high value molecules. Poor Pramod cannot. He's been chasing the petrochemical equivalent replacement through his first generation, second generation, third generation ethanol. And then now he's moving to the next stage, where he's going to make those bulk chemicals, which are still not in the hundreds of dollars, but in the tens of dollars. So which means his capacity, his resilience, his technology, and his ability to grow and build a plant is several times harder than some of the other high value products. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying one is easier over the other, but for a factual part on how you should understand, here is Pramod. So what is that you are building next? I mean, you have done the ethanol bit, which we know, and I think that's going to go on. So you are now moving to the other type of chemicals, like what ADM and others are doing, I guess, several years ago. So what are your plans?
Thanks, Murli. And as Murli said, we used to did a lot of work on biofuel side for energy independence for India. So now we are blending about 15% ethanol. We are building 15% ethanol now in our all gasoline petrol pumps that we have. Probably you don't realize that, but most of the petrol comes from technologies that Praj has put in place. We are going forward and looking at the bigger trend, which is plastic. So plastic is a big menace now, because if you see, there is plastic everywhere, even though it's a wonderful material. I used to work for a plastic company for a long time, and we wanted to replace all steel by plastic. That was the dream of the company. But we realized there are bigger issues of plastics, which are typically single-use plastics, which use for packaging, which needs to be degraded very fast, because we have a habit of throwing all plastic everywhere. So what we are looking at currently is developing bioplastics, which of course needs to be in the millions of tons to be made. One of them is of course polylactic acid. Of course, it's well-known molecule. The first plant came 20 years back from Cargill and NatureWorks, which is the company. But after 16, 17 years now, we see a lot of traction because of the use of single-use plastic. Unfortunately, India had never made even lactic acid, which is the monomer, which is made by fermentation, one of the biggest fermentation product. So we are developing the fermentation-based lactic acid and then make lactide and PLA. So that is the next molecule that we are building up. We have put a pilot plant, which is commissioned now, making lactic acid, lactide and PLA. So we look at around another 2 years time to build our first commercial plant for polylactic acid, which is going to be big breakthrough or big thing for India, because we are based off lot of issues with the single-use plastic for replacing that. And the second molecule in that same series, we're looking at polyhydroxyalkanoids, which are truly biodegradable plastics. And the current price of PH is very expensive. And we believe that with our strengths in the biology and as well as engineering, we can make it cheaper to make this world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Pramod. So a quick time check. We are at 4:03 by my watch, and we are planning to complete the 3 speakers by 4:15, maximum 4:20. So I now move on to Biocon, which has been the anchor, the flagship, the icon, the go-to for everybody to reference as a biotechnology company, because that was one of the, again, a classical example of how a garage could actually be converted into something that has happened today, and the entire nation and everybody is looking up to that. So being in the shadows of Kiran, I don't know how you feel, but the most important thing is you still have a responsibility there. So I have a question. I know you are a public limited company, so without looking at forward-looking statement, I just want to look at a bit of what are your plans, because this area is a very important area. Biosimilars and biologics and all those things are now just blossoming. There are a lot of VCs who still struggle between a generic and a biosimilar. I have still had several senior VCs to whom I have counseled, saying that these are chalk and cheese, there's no comparison, etc. And so, you know, people believe that you copy or you do something, it is cheaper, faster, quicker, etc. Is that right? Or you still need to throw a lot of money in it? And the remaining 2 speakers also, please keep it as simple as possible. So first you, and then I'll ask the other 2.
Thanks, Murli, and thanks for the kind words about how Biocon's been a trailblazer in many ways. You asked a question saying, how do I feel with being in Kiran's company? I think the answer to that is inspired. Okay, I think it's been really a wonderful experience. I've been with the Biocon group for over 27 years, and it's been an amazing journey. So clearly a lot to learn from somebody like Kiran, who is a visionary and an icon of our industry. Now coming to the question that you asked for in terms of what is it that we are looking for. For that, you need to go back to see what is it that has driven us over the years. The ethos of the company has always been a focus on affordable innovation. And we talked a lot about innovation during the day today. But the innovation, if it's not affordable, then it is not accessible. And if innovations are not accessible, then they're not meaningful at all.
They're actually meaningless. So that's really the ethos on which we've built the company. So everything that we've done, whether it's the product portfolio that you see, the therapy areas that we work on, we only work on debilitating diseases. It's not to say that the others are not important, but we work on debilitating diseases like diabetes, cancer, autoimmune diseases, which don't just impact the patient. They can actually devastate the whole family. And that is the area where we believe we want to continue to make investments. And we've made an investment in recent times. And we decided that it's not enough to be good at innovation and to have good science. You need to have good scale for manufacturing. So you needed to be a global scale manufacturer to be able to really supply product to the world. And that's the investment we've made over the years. In biologics manufacturing, we made an investment of close to 9,000 crores. So that's the investment we made in manufacturing capacity. In R&D to fund our pipeline, we made an investment of over 10,000 crores. So that's the kind of commitment that we've made over the years to say that we want to be in this space. But if you really want to be a global leader, and Murli, you asked a question, what is it that we are doing going ahead? If you really want to be a global leader, it's not enough to just have two pieces of the puzzle. The third key piece is your ability to commercialize the product in the markets where it's needed. And that's why we made a huge acquisition recently, one of the largest in the industry. From an outbound perspective, it's been the largest deal, where we paid 25,000 crores to acquire a business and the economic interest of an American company, where we moved from being a two-country company to a 120-country presence that we built in a very short time. So that is really set a platform where you will have an Indian company which can provide a platform to make products for the world. So it's made in India, but for the world. It's not just Atmanirbhar Bharat, but it's Vikasit World. That's the idea that's behind everything that we do.
Thank you. And what about Indian companies? You have been acquiring a lot of American companies. We are all startups waiting to, have a chance to be acquired by you. Are you not looking at us?
I'm more than happy to talk to you.
Thank you. So now we move on to Nethi ji there from Biological E. So as you know that they make a lot of vaccines. In one of the forums, I awarded your person the women's thing there. So I know that she received that award. So congratulations on that. So I would like to know from you, I think one of the biggest challenges you had, see, everybody wants to forget COVID very quickly because, it impacted their family, it impacted something, the commerce had suffered, etc. But there is key learnings there. One of the learnings that when I was listening was the supply chain had completely broken down. So could you tell me, how are you now safeguarding that this does not happen to you again?
Thank you, sir. Thanks for asking this question. And while your question is relevant for the COVID times that we have all lived with, and the amount of investment of time, effort, and the first time, and then the shock with which we have to respond was quite enormous. And I'm sure Dr. Singh will also echo the same sentiments. I know you have put the time limit as well, so I'll keep it short. So the long story short, we have close to about 13 categories of items which most of the vaccine, and when I'm speaking about this, I'm limiting my scope of conversation to the vaccine as an industry. We're one of the largest producer. We produce 1 billion doses of vaccines, various different vaccines in a year. Every day, about 6 million doses roll out of the factory. So there are about 13 different categories of components that we are dependent, and they are concentrated in 3 zones of the world: North America, Europe, and in China. And we have had lots of challenges, many of them. And thanks to the sponsorship and support from the Indian government, DBT, and so also Ministry of Health and Ministry of External Affairs, to name a few, we have had to go to the White House and make special requests, special planes to fly between the countries without any difficulties at the customs or whatever, because flights were not flying. Special flights were flown to bring. The long story short, these 13 categories, I think we have also been working with the vendors like Thermo Fishers and many others who are monopolies in the space that they operate. And I think I'll just also have to add one other thing. In the morning when I was very thrilled to see $150 billion worth of transaction that we are doing in terms of the exports for all the biotech. I think that is also playing a significant part. Now, most of these components that we were dependent 4 years back, most of them have been de-risked. Either the facilities are in India or in other parts of the zone, like in Singapore, other places, so that you are able to, because this is two parts to this. One, the Defense Production Act and other things that were imposed in the US at that time had a significant barrier for sourcing because everybody is running against the time. So I think they have also been very mindful, and then the supplier network has played very well. I think we must mention that we have worked quite way ahead of what the troubles that we have had. But again, the next pandemic, when it comes, we do not know. And then if we know, I think it'll never be called a pandemic at all. For the first place. Yeah.
No, thank you very much. So I would just want to highlight for the students what hollow discussions we had on vaccines in our television channels and in the press. And here are the true heroes who are sitting here on the dais, who really did all this work of carrying special planes and working around special acts that were preventing them from getting to get your parents and your others vaccinated. So Department of Biotechnology, please remember, is like a temple. It's got lots of things in it. We all have to remember that. Moving to the last speaker, and you are given about 4 minutes, Sanjay. And that's the biggest time I've actually given anybody here. So taking the liberty with Sanjay, he's been one of the pioneers. I would say that if you're talking about mRNA as a vaccine, there were lots of discussions on that. Sanjay just blew it. He said, what's so great about it? But the most important question that I want to ask him is, now that the pandemic is over, like he has answered, what is his vision? Because he is one guy who thinks into the future. What's his vision? How do you see your company and your focus going on in the next 5, 10 years, whatever it is, the time scale? So over to you, Sanjay.
So I thought that mic is not giving a good echo, so I will come on here. So thank you very much, Dr. Murali. I would like to say 2 facts, and then I would like to answer the question. The first is, I feel today we are in one of the best space in biotechnology. The reason is, Mr. Secretary, I think for last 1 year, he's bombarding on me, biomanufacturing, 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 and now the policy is there. So congratulations to you. This is commitment is required that if you conceive something, you have to deliver it. He has delivered. Another part that we are fortunate that he is one of the best scientists we have in the country. So many times we can talk innovation freely with him as a secretary. So this is another thing. Now I'm coming back on what Dr. Murali had asked the question. What next for us? So we look into the future and we work in the future. So 3 companies who got vaccine approved in the world on mRNA. First was Pfizer, $500 billion company. Another was Moderna, $100 billion company. And third was Genoa, which is not yet valued. But this pride I would like to share with DBT Birec. Many faces are here who help us into that difficult time, even going and fighting at the White House. So what we are doing now, so we work in 2 silos, independent silos. One is the technology silos and another is problem silos. So in the past, the big silo was mammalian biomanufacturing. We went into perfusion-based adherent bioreactor, worked for a couple of years, taken it to the next level, and we produced 2 products, which is the problem silos, heart attack and stroke, and we have the medicine in the market, which was not available here. And not only one form of the biosimilar, but one innovative into stroke, and today we save few hundred lives every day. and that is what I take biotechnology. What is the impact of my biotechnologies on the society? This is the most important thing. Numbers important, but they don't drive me. Numbers are just a part of excellence. The second part is there. Now, if we have done mRNA, what next for it? The biggest thing is the tuberculosis. We need a vaccine for tuberculosis, which problem has not been solved for last 100 years. We have gone into with this technology and hope by next year we will come with some very positive result because our mRNA technology, intradermal delivery, thermostable style of the mRNA vaccine will give a very high boost to CD4 and CD8 response, which is important for the tuberculosis vaccine. So this is one of the what technology we are to. For COVID, we have forgot COVID. COVID is gone. Now we're ready. If something comes, we will be there with 100 days, the vaccine. All ingredient in-house. More than 95% of the ingredient we have backward integrated. We don't need to depend on these kind of pandemic situations, somebody else. And again, this is PLI skill of government. Some of the DBT backward integration, those are things has come. Now taking from the biomanufacturing innovation, gene therapy, CAR-T, these are the next future of the biotechnology. The cost is few $1 million. Can we reduce it 20x or 50x or 80x into it? Their biomanufacturing and innovation in biomanufacturing technology is there, and we are working in that particular space. We want to transform this space, so not of 14 crores, 18 crores, we want to bring it of 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs with better safety profile and better vein to vein. Vein to means at present if somebody want to have a CAR-T, they have to wait for 3 months. We want to reduce it 3 weeks. So vein to vein time. So here when I see Dr. Gokhale, he permit us to talk about these very imaginative things which are difficult. But we also want to take our local innovation to the global platform. Same for the gene and cell therapy. If sickle cell anemia, yes, medicine is available, single dose gene therapy medicine is available. It is costing us around $2.2 million. Can we reduce the price by 80x, 60x, 50x? Yes, it's possible. So those are the areas which are going forward. Now coming back on the last point. So these are the problem silos. The technology silos is RNA, problem silos. One more silos I want to go. And Dr. Tambe mentioned it. Today also, the cost of treatment for a person who become cancer affected, it is enormous. Can we look into the whole space of cancer and can we believe that we can still bring the cost of the treatment affordable? And where technology is required. How the technology is required? Can we put CAR-T and personalized cancer vaccine together? So these are the silos where we are working. And I believe nothing is impossible, only you should have imagination. And example is Bio-E3 policy. Somehow Dr. Gokhale was having imagination of biomanufacturing. And today we are very proudly, we can say that we have such a scheme which is available because he understood where is the problem. Problem is here. And I just saw that why I said this is the best time for us, because I saw this DBT from our DCG. I was sitting, again, a person very high in PhD, work in industry, and open to listen these things. So for young students, I would like to say, this is a great time. We should imagine, we should innovate, and we should make our science effective to the society. Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, normally I like the audience to ask some questions, but today it's just we are running so behind schedule. So please bear with me. All these heroes and heroines are all available there. They are all in the stall or outside. Please engage them, talk to them. And I think there is a lot of learning that can be done. I would like to conclude this session thanking the Secretary DBT here for giving us all an opportunity to talk to the audience here about what we are doing and what we will be doing. And happy to take questions offline when we finish this session. So with a big round of applause, thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Murali. Thank you all so much, distinguished speakers, for sharing your experiences and thoughts on future of biotechnology in India. I would now request all to assemble for a group photo. Thank you. I would now request Secretary Sir to kindly give a token of our gratitude to our guests and speakers. Ms. Tina says, go, Fano. Ma'am, kindly please, we request you to come back on the stage for a moment. Ms. Tina says, go, Fano. Thank you, ma'am. Sir. Dr. Ajay Kumar Parail. Professor Murali, our moderator of the session. Dr. Sanjay Singh. Mr. Lakshminarayan Neti. Dr. Srihas Tambe. Dr. Pramod Kumbar. Dr. Pramod Kumbar, sorry, first. Dr. Pramod Kumbar. Dr. Srihas Tambe. Mr. Rajesh. Mr. Rajesh Krishnamurthy. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you all. We end the super session 1. Thank you all. Thank the audience to be here. The next technical session is in the other hall. We request you to please follow the agenda and join us in the technical session 1 and also the Science Connect series which is going on. Thank you.